I think they're trying to keep us distracted. It's free to pay attention. Yeah.
Don't be distracted by the beams that people put into play. Instead, focus on the freedoms people tearing away. It's all confusion. They turning UFOs into UAPs. To test the public on the subject, change the mood and see how we react. Knowing we've been visited back before Egyptians stacked stones with exact mathematical dimensions with attention to match. Before the days of Pangea when the continent cracked. Stupid humans just been covering tracks. Earth is just a puddle in the sea of what's been attached. I know a couple hybrids living on the planet. In fact, they might be living next to you. You ever think about that? Be the vibe. If you're feeling lost, tune to the tone. We might be living in a dome, but we're never alone. Send a rocket to the moon, let it curve on its own. It's a distraction, but that's all that I can say on this phone.
We're caught up in a blue beam, distracted by design, while shooting down illusions, indoctrinating minds. They wanna see us panic, to put us back in line. The people have awoken and see right through the lies. It's all a distraction. It's a part of the game that we play. They don't need a reaction. Don't you give them the strength, meditate. It's all a distraction. But the people are finding a way to take positive action and spread truth to the ones that
Hidden
relate.
right in plain view, blueprint has been laid out. Played rat in the maze, getting stuck in the same route. Lost, feeling exhausted, breaking the frame down. So breathe, raise your vibration and phase out. Resonant, every thought's related to fate, and they don't want to let you know that you're designed to be great. Who's that? Good question, start checking your mate. They play chess, not checkers. In the darkness they wait. Peep the games that they playing, using holograms till they got the praying, and that's all that I'm saying. Project Bluebeam and the plans that they laying get me hotter than the flames that surround Super Saiyans. Godlike, like the godson that be star bright, living in the fractal, speaking to evolve like an oceanic alien. The no more is on sight, reminding you to never get distracted. It's all right.
We're caught up in a blue beam, distracted by design, while shooting down illusions, indoctrinating minds. They wanna see us panic, to put us back in line. The people have awoken and see right through the lies. It's all a distraction. It's a part of the game that we play. They don't need a reaction. Don't you give them the strength, meditate. It's all a distraction. But the people are finding a way to take positive action and spread truth to the ones that relate.
See, it's divided, so they feed us negativity. They put it on the plate and we just eat it up for dinner. See, we allow the panic but never address the lunacy. The current currency gotta be some foolery. It needs to flow with unity, floating with opportunity. Abundance is a class and I'm waiting for God to tutor me. Teach me and let me reach all the people that need the guidance. Allow me to give them visions of all this positive knowledge.
It's all a distraction. It's a part of the game that we play. They don't need a reaction. Don't you give them the strength, meditate. It's all a distraction. But the people are finding a way to take positive action and spread truth to the ones that relate.
Don't get distracted.
Bodega is a guide and a storyteller, escorting you through the night, lighting the way, warding off thieves, ghosts, demons, and other oddities. Along the journey, his companions would often share with him the most curious of stories that he'd record in his codex. Perhaps you just might find yourself traveling with a Kodega and sharing one of yours. Click that like. If you're new here, subscribe and have the bell hit for notifications to stay up to date on all of the new content. Hey everyone, good evening, good morning if you're across the pond. I hope you're all doing well. And tonight I'm doing a solo live and just rocking it. And hopefully I get a lot of comments. And, I really want to interact with my viewers tonight. Really looking forward to it. So if you have any comments, any stories you want to share, please share them in the comments or message me on Facebook while I'm doing the live and I will read them out. I'm going to talk about some of the ghost experiences I've had throughout my life. I'm going to kind of start from the beginning and go forward from there, try to follow some sense of timeline. And then also perhaps I'm going to talk about, the ghost stories kind of tie right in with that haunted house that I talked about in the beginning. So I'm going to do that as well. So before we get started, I also have something I have just created. And what it is my Printify store. I will put in the show notes after the link for it, but check it out. I made a commercial and everything. I'm pretty proud. I'm pretty proud of myself for that. So let's have a look. And if any of the items interest you, let me know. Even if you're not going to buy one, just say, hey, that's cool. Or maybe you could try something else. Give me ideas. I'm open to it all. I still going to keep adding stuff continuously to the store. So, I got about 20 items and it's just going to keep growing from there. All right, here we go. Here's my advert. Yeah, so that's it. That's my stuff. I also have Patreon. Shout out to Patreon for that. I have 2 tiers. I have a $5 monthly tier, which is a shout out, and it's kind of like thanks for helping me out on this trip. Always looking to, and I'm sure like just about every broadcaster. I guess I'm kind of broadcasting, but podcaster, show host. I'm always looking to upgrade some of the equipment. So $5 a month gets you me saying, yeah, thanks. It doesn't sound like much, but it really does help. Also, there's the $25 tier. And what that is after 3 months, you get a mug. After the next 3 months, you get a shirt. Then after that, you get a canvas tote bag. And then after that, you get a long sleeve shirt as well. Kind of the same designs as I did in the Printify store, but Patreon kind of limits you a little bit more. So that's cool. Hey, Amber, how you doing? Truthy Ruthie. And then we also got Pamela as well. I really appreciate you guys being here. And Andrew is hanging around. He's around, so that's awesome. I really appreciate you guys coming out and checking this out. Now, so like I said, tonight I'm going to do a dive into some ghost stories, my own, and then I'm going to actually relay some other people's stories as well. As you know, just a little before we move too far as well, every Tuesday we have the Supernatural Town Hall sessions, and that's me, myself, and I, and Matt Emch from Planet 412. And then we got the boys from Sasquatchers. We have JC and Andrew. So every Tuesday we come together. would say 6 o'clock Mountain Standard Time. So that would be 8 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. We get together and we have a talk about what's going down and what's going on. This Tuesday, I'm only going to be here for 1 hour because I am helping co-host Rob from Bigfoot Michigan Rob. So I'm helping co-host his show, which is great. Such an honor. Now let's get in. Okay. So who am I? It's kind of what this is, kind of like the stuff that I have kind of pushed me on my path to being who I am. This weird, I'm sure we all have that, those weird stories that moved us into this weird, like, why are we so into paranormal? Why are we so into UFOs? Why are we so into cryptids? Why are we so into all this stuff? Well, here's my story. And like I said, if anybody wants to share anything, please, hit me up on Facebook. If you have me on Facebook, send me a message, Ryvoss, and type it all out, and I will read it. And I'll read it here right now live on the show. All right. So let's start this off. Why am I who I am? Where did that happen? So for as long as I can remember, I've always been a little strange, a little weird. I'm sure we all are, and in the beginning, I didn't hide it. As I got older, when you're in junior high school, you kind of hide that things because it's tough enough. So my first real experience I've ever had was when I was in grade 4. And that would make me about 9, 10 years old. We had this thing called, and of course, for those who don't know, I'm Canadian. So we had this thing called Canada Fitness. What was Canada Fitness? Well, Canada Fitness was this challenge. And there was about 20 challenges that you had to do. And there was levels. There was excellent. Then there was gold. There was silver. There was bronze. And I think that was it. There might have been something else after that, but I don't know. So you always push yourself because you always wanted the excellence. And I was one of the more athletic kids in my class, though I wasn't the top. And to hit this excellence, you had to be pretty close to being the top. So we were running this one race. I forget. It was like 2K. You had to run like 2K. And we're running. And I was with the top group. And they were all in front of me. But I was trailing, but I was still keeping pace. I was just a little bit behind. And I knew that if I wanted this excellence badge, I had to push it a little further. So near the end, probably the last 50 meters, I decided now it's time. So what I did is I exerted myself like so much energy, and I'm like, here we go. And I'm pushing myself beyond my normal limits. And what happened at that time is my consciousness, my spirit, I don't know what you want to call it, shot out of my body. And I was literally about 15 feet above myself, watching everybody run. Massachusetts Mouse. I used to have an old Canadian military exercise book. Yes. Maybe this is kind of Canadian military kind of stuff. I wasn't in that, but so I shot out of my body. My body is, well, we'll get to that, but I am watching everybody run. I am watching all the kids in front of me, and our teacher was running with us too. Teachers like it's kind of strange. So I was watching everybody, and then I looked back, and I was just a little bit behind, and I saw myself. And we're talking like 5-10 feet behind everybody else, and that's when I saw myself. And as soon as I saw myself, boom, back inside, and like I guess that's like an astral, like I was astral traveling, perhaps. I don't know, but it was an OBE, an out of body experience. And as soon as I saw myself, it was kind of like this recognition that I'm not within myself. The body was like, and my consciousness was just boom, back in. So once I finished that race, because it was right next to the finish line, I start telling I still remember this to this day, like this field that we're in, there's a little hill, and everybody who wasn't running, because it was boys, you always had to run with the boys, and then the girls were all sitting up, and I go up to the girls, some of the girls who are really good friends of mine, and I'm like, oh my gosh, you wouldn't believe what just happened. And I tell them, which was a mistake, because everybody that I told was like, you're weird, wow, that's strange. No, you're lying. That's, that's not true. That's not one, believe me. And I think from that point on, I kind of, I never really had another out-of-body experience after that, other than dreams. And that's a whole other episode. But yeah, so, I think I maybe have like closed that. There is things where you yourself can close down certain aspects. But yeah, so I closed this down and, decided not to talk about that again. So that was my first real crazy experience, out-of-body experience at the age of 9-10 years old. Yeah, Mouse, you got to go looking for that. If you ever do, send some pictures. It's a Canadian military exercise book, like literally exercising, or was it like exercise maneuvers? That's interesting. So, okay, so that's my first real big experience. Now I had, and that was I was living far out in the country, and this land that we lived on was inhabited by the natives, hundreds of years before. And not that ties into anything that's coming up, because that house, though I was terrified in that house at night, I was more terrified of lions than anything. And my mom decided to make me this lion macrame that hung on my wall. It scared the shit out of me. I'd scream and I'd always like take it down. And I had like this trunk. I'd always throw it inside the trunk, because when that was up on the wall, terrifying. Okay. So that was that. And the reason why I knew I lived on native land is because we found pemmican. Does anybody in the comments know what pemmican is? I'm gonna let that go for a little bit. So if you know what pemmican is, you can type that in. Say yes, no, doesn't matter. Maybe so. Yeah, it was by chance that I actually discovered this pemmican. My father decided to put kind of like an above ground pool in, but it was kind of like a hybrid above ground pool, because he put it into the side of a hill. So he dug out the side of the hill. So it was, nope, not mound dirt, not a gravestone. So he put it, so the hill was coming down like this, and he put it like this. He dug it out this part of the hill, put the above ground pool in. So it was kind of like an in-ground / above ground pool, a little bit of both. And when he did that, they had this southpaw. So what it was then, so they dug this out, and there was this big clump of what I thought was clay or dirt. And then I went and started kicking it around the field, because, hey, look at this. And I broke it open, and I'm like, what the heck is this? And inside was like this white mixture kind of thing, because this was old. This had never been found. They put it there, never been found. So what pemmican is they use like a deer hide, or it could be, they use something to encase it. And I don't know the full practice of how they fully encase it, but they fill it full of like ground bones, ground meat, berries, and what it is, it's like a food cache. So they can come back later, and if times are tight, or if they're need some money, need some food stored, they can come back to this location and have at it. So that's what pemmican is, and so that's why I know our land was inhabited by natives at one time. But that, like I said, doesn't really tie into the story. So we ended up moving to another. We moved to another location, and now this is where things start to ramp up. Now, so what this new house was? Oh, car blowing its horn. Not, yeah. So I'm sure everybody knows that I record on the rooftop here in Mexico. So I'll give you a little bit of a tour here. So this is the rooftop here. And behind me, you can just see the tops of some of the houses. There's some lights from right where those 3 lights are that look like a UFO. That's actually the main street, and that's where the ocean is. So I live fairly close to the ocean. It's maybe maybe a kilometer away. Thanks, Andrew. Yeah, my rooftop has a little bit of character to it, and yeah, I may also went a little in nutrition, but I cannot remember. I can find another copy. I'll try better to keep it. Yeah, exactly. Most that military Canadian military paraphernalia. You better keep that stuff. Okay, so we moved to a new house now. This new house, and another great thing about working on the rooftop, bugs. Yeah, I get bugs that climb all over my computer screen as I'm talking. So, all right, back to my story. So we moved to this new house and we built it. And not that again this ties in, but the people who sold us, 6 hours. I'm 6 minutes walk. No, a little longer than 6 minute walk, but something like that. But the ocean here, it's not like it's like a beautiful beach or nothing. We're in a fishing city, so there's like a boardwalk that runs the whole city, which is it's really really nice, but it's just big rocks down below and not nice rocks either. They're covered in algae and whatnot, and there's some nice docks that they've built out, and it's nice. The nearest beach is like a 15-minute drive, so can't complain, right? So, yes. So this property was sold to us. We bought 10 acres, and the person who sold it was Jehovah's Witness, so they kept an acre for themselves to build the Kingdom Hall. So, in my front yard, we had a church. And I'm not sure if that's considered consecrated ground, and if that maybe have caused some of the issues that ended up following with this house. Now, this house I never ever felt comfortable in this house. Like of course when all my family was there, it's out of your mind. But when you were there by yourself, continuously terrified, petrified, always. I would always bring in every animal. We had about 2 to 3 dogs at different times. We had a couple cats. We had rabbits. Not that I ever brought the rabbit in. And then we also had horses as well. And that plays a little part in another story. But I would always bring the dogs and the cats into my bedroom, close the door if I was home by myself, because it just felt safe to have those animals there, whether they're protecting me, keeping something at bay, or I was protecting them. I think it was like a symbiotic type of relationship there. Now, so what started happening was this fear, and it never went away. One of the occasions, one of the first real visual things that I ever saw was I had to go. My job, one of my chores was to feed the horses. And of course, like a kid of like grade 8, grade 9, I'd always forget. And my dad would always have to remind me. And so I'm going to guess either Halloween in around that time. So it was, just starting to get really cold. Just starting. It's just starting to get cold. And so in Canada, we're much further north. It gets dark much faster. So it was pitch black outside. And I was upstairs on the second, floor working in I would say like a dormer, which is like a little window kind of thing. And the computer, that's where my parents had the computer. And we only had one computer. And I was at the time really into writing a diary, a journal, keeping writing things down about my life. Now, I'm very private about it all. I don't want anybody to read it. And so my dad called up to me and he's like, "Right, have you fed the horses?" And I'm like, "No." And he's like, "Well, you got to go feed them now." So I was like, okay. So get on my coat and go outside, and the light is still on inside the house where I was working. You can see clear as day right into there. So I get outside and it's pitch black. And what I'm getting at with that is if it's pitch black outside and the lights are inside, it's so easy to see in. I'm sure you've all seen that before. When you're looking in and the lights are on and it's dark outside, you can see clear. Now, sitting at the desk like I could only see about like, because I'm looking up, so I could only see for about this part up. And was my grandma. Now, is my grandma dead? Nope. Is my not dead or anything. So really, really strange. And so I'm looking and I'm like, this looks identical to my grandma because I can see her. She's got like they had tight curly hair, but it's kind of like this beigey gray almost. So that makes like a beige color kind of thing. She's got like big glasses on and she's sitting at the computer. And it's my grandma. But my grandma doesn't live with us. My grandma's not dead. What or who is sitting at the computer? Though it looked like my grandma. And, doppelganger, I don't know. Some sort of changeling, I don't know. Of course, I'm not thinking it at that time. I have no idea what a changeling is at that time. Of course, at that time, everybody probably knows what a doppelganger is, but not to this extent. So I go down, feed the horses, come back up. And when I come back up, there's no one sitting there anymore. And I go into the house and everybody's on the main floor. That's where our TV was. And they're all watching TV. I have two sisters and my parents. And I'm like, who is down there? Like I'm not down there. Sorry. Who is upstairs on the computer? And they're like, no, we haven't left. We're all sitting here. Like, no. Someone was upstairs on the computer. And they're like, nope. And my one sister, was like, well, I went to the bathroom, which is on the main floor. She's like, but we have all stayed here. We all, we haven't, we haven't gone anywhere. We haven't done anything. And I was adamant because I clear as day saw someone up there. But of course, I'm not going to say it was my grandma, but I was like, no, there was someone up there. But they're just like, no, we were all here other than my one sister, Nicole, went to the bathroom, which was, right beside where we were watching TV and came right back. So and of course, like I said, I was writing on my journal. I was very private about it. That's why I was, upset, but no one. So that was my first experience in this house of like something really visual. Like, of course, there's always just the sense of fear in the house. Now, one small incident. And so, like I lived out in the country and we lived on 10 acres. We were all surrounded. We had a cow farm behind us. And to the side was just a large field, like probably a quarter section. And then it was just fields upon fields upon fields of other farmers' fields. And so it, I would, I like to have I had a pair of binoculars and at my window, cause I looked out back and, sometimes you'd hear the coyotes howling or we had a fox that was on our property. That's something that I don't know if anybody's ever heard of fox. First time I heard it, it terrified me because I had no idea. It sounds like someone screaming. And that might get, some people might hear a fox and think it might be a cryptid. If you ever are curious, Google what foxes sound like, and you will hear this. And it's kind of like nerve-wracking kind of thing. Okay, so I'm walking up my stairs to go to my bedroom, and like I said, I have my binoculars. They were hanging from. I had a crank out window. They were hanging from this crank, and as I'm walking, these binoculars are violently swinging back and forth, not making a sound, but violently swinging back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And I'm like, what? And of course, your mind, you're trying to make sense of this. It's like, maybe I'm going like this when I'm walking up the stairs, or, you're trying to make sense. But the way it goes, like I can look into my room as I'm walking up the stairs. But once I get to one point, my room kind of has like an L in it and I couldn't see it anymore. So I lost sight for, like 2 seconds. And right, Southpaw? So I lost sight for 2 seconds. When I entered the room, perfectly still, again, no sound. And I'm like, okay. And again, you try to rationalize these things. You're trying to make excuses because you don't know how to process that. And I'm like, okay, I must have been, and so I went down the stairs, came back up again, trying to see if I was doing something like that. No, they
were not moving when I was walking up, but I was like, well, I must have been doing something. So fast forward now a couple more years. I was about 17 years old at this time, 16, 17 years old. And my parents went away for 2 weeks, and my sisters were older. So got the house, for 2 weeks with some older, like I'm the youngest, 16. My other sister is 18. My other sister is like 21. What are you going to do? Of course, we're going to have parties. One thing that we decided to do, well, it wasn't really my decision, but I was okay with it, was go to Toys R Us, and what do we buy? A Ouija board. Why not? Because that's what every kid wants to play with. And it's so fun. There's nothing ever wrong or bad with that at all. Yeah. So so at first, I wasn't the one using it. It was my sisters and their friends, and I didn't really want to. I don't know. Maybe I knew. So I was like, no, I don't really want to. And they told me some crazy stuff. Like, I'm not going to, because some of the stuff is really personal, but let's just say they were being visited by someone who said they were on the roof, and all of a sudden they could hear scratching on the chimney. Like we didn't have like this was the chimney for the furnace, and of course it's metal, and they could hear scratching noises up on the chimney up on the roof. And they're in the basement, and the roof, and this is a 2-story. So, but you can hear a metal sound, and you're in the basement, and you're near where the furnace was. So, yeah, that was one of the things. And they said also that we had 2 cats, and for some reason, the black cat, who's never come into the house, got into the house, and she was in the basement with them at that time, which was, yeah, coincidence, sure, but it never, ever, ever happens. And then also the furnace, they said like the flames came flying out of the furnace. They're like, I was like, what? And being one of the many professions I've been in my life, was a gas fitter. So I know a lot about gas, and for that to happen, that's very, very strange, or very, very dangerous as well. Yeah, I would say, Andrew, I used it about 10 times after that. So I eventually, had some friends over in those 2 weeks, and we used it as well. For me, nothing really ever happened while using it. That being said, I actually think we kind of ramp things up in the house. So now we're going to fast forward a couple more years. This was the experience of experiences. And I've talked about this numerous times on other shows, but I'm going to talk about it now. So I was out with some friends, and some people will say, "Oh, you don't remember how old you were when this happened?" They're like, "No, not really. I would say I was either 17, 18, or 19. It was in those years. Most likely 17, 18. I had gone out with some friends, and we weren't drinking or anything like that. We weren't doing any drugs or anything like that. I'll set that preface off right now. Like I'll preface this story with saying that, nope, I was clean and sober, and was never really ever into drugs until I was older, when I was trying to experiment. But that's a whole other story. Now, so I was gotten home late, and I had to work early in the morning, and just not that it ties. I always say not that it ties in, but it might. You never know. I lived in Canada. We had the Northern Lights, and they were always amazing to watch. That night when I had gotten home, the Northern Lights were out in full force, just dancing away. If you ever seen them, they're like ripples on water. They're like rippling, but they're like these green, pinkish, purplish lights, just bluish, even a little bit as well. Just fascinating. And I spent about 5-10 minutes watching them, because they're mesmerizing. Oh my gosh. So they're mesmerizing, and I really enjoyed them. So yeah, fair enough, Beast. Fair enough. So I'm like, well, I got to work early in the morning. I gotta get up, early for me. I think it was like, I think I had to get up at 6 a.m. or 6:30. I was like, oh, so, which is still early. So I went to bed and couldn't fall asleep for the life of me. And it was one of those nights where you had to get up early, but you just can't find sleep. And so tossing and turning and watching the clock beside me. And I'm playing that game that whenever you look at the clock and you're like, okay, if I fall asleep now, I'm gonna have 7 hours and 37 minutes to sleep. And look at the clock again. Okay, 6 hours and 58 minutes of sleep. And it just keeps ticking down, but I cannot for the life of me find my way to sleep. And then I got like this call, like not call, but and who's ever had experiences, they'll say that something just called me to look this way or to do this or to walk this way. And for me, it was to look straight up. And so I was kind of like laying on my side and I rolled over, laying on my back, looking straight up. Okay. And at this time, floating about 2 to 3 feet above me, I can see a figure. Okay. I could see the head, I could see the shoulders. And when it got round near the waist, that's when it dissipated into a smoky vapor. Also, I couldn't see the hands because the hands were the arms were by the side. So where it dissipated into that vapor, probably about this location on the arms, that's all I could see. So I could see the arms as well. Now, color or vapor was, it was black. Okay. So this thing floating above me was... Sorry, Andrew, I was seeing that unless Sasquatch is trying to party. Yeah, that will help you. That will help. So this thing floating above me was blacker than black. So when you're, at night when you're trying to, when you're in your bedroom, you got the blinds closed, the lights off. It's black, but it's not black. It's blacker than black. So it was like sucking the light into it. Not the light, but the darkness into it. And now, the most terrifying part about this all was not just that, was the eyes, okay? And everybody talks about, like, a lot of cryptid stories, they talk about eye glow. So this creature, this thing, had eye glow as well. It was not the whites, okay? So, and it's not that I could see the whites either, but it was about the size of your cornea and your pupil all together. So maybe about the size of a marble, good size marble. Red. So it was glowing red, and not like shooting lasers red, not like a flashlight red, but just this incandescent glow, this red glow. Now, I laid there. I don't know. Of course, when you're scared, the adrenaline kicks in, and you can either do the 3, the fight, the flight, or what I did was the freeze. I would tell people, like, I was scared stiff. I did not move. I laid there without moving, frozen in space, frozen in time. Some people ask, like, oh, no, what you had was sleep paralysis. Like, no, because you have to be asleep to have sleep paralysis. I was not asleep. I was trying to fall asleep. I would have been great if I had sleep paralysis, because that means I was asleep at one time. But no, I was wide awake. Now this creature, this thing floating above me, was there for about maybe 3 to 5 seconds, not that much longer, and it was gone instantly. Not like a slow, like, woo, fade away or just dissipate. It was gone instantly after that time. Now I laid there. And I don't know for how long, because I couldn't look at my clock. I was just staring straight up at the ceiling now, because this is gone, and not able to move, not wanting to move, and just praying it's over. The next thing I know, I woke up in the morning now with my alarm going off. So I don't know how long I laid there. I don't know, when I fell asleep. I don't know any of that. It was almost as if, like, I don't want to say, oh yeah, I had lost time, but it was lost time because I had no idea. I have no way to judge it or anything. Time could have stopped Time could have ran slow. Time could have sped up. I have no idea. I just was there, stuck in time, stuck in space. So that was my crazy first real terrifying experience. Now I had so I had another experience a little bit later, and this time I was about 19 years. Well, yeah, it was really close actually. Just before that, my not my grandma who I saw, but my dad's mom, which was German, we called her Oma. My Oma had passed away, and my Oma and I were very close. And was it humanoid like or yeah, beast? It was definitely humanoid like, such as like I said, there was no discernible features because it was blacker than black. So it was like the shadow, staring up at a shadow, but it had to have been three-dimensional. But like I said, you could see the shoulders, you could see like where it came in here for the neck. You could see, sorry, I said the shoulders, I'm touching the head. So you can see the head, no hat. So could have been some sort of hat man without his hat. Maybe he left it at the door. Maybe he was a gentleman. Yeah, so you could see the perfect head, the outline of the head. You can see where the neck went into the shoulders, where it stretched out, and you can see the shoulders, and you can see a little bit of a gap here where the arms were beside it. And that was it. And it was perfectly parallel with me, about 3 feet above me. It did not come down onto me. It did not like kneel on me or sit on me or anything like that. Like the hag would, if you're talking about sleep paralysis, sleep paralysis demon. I would not say it was a demon of sorts. No. Let me correct that. It's not a sleep paralysis demon. I have an idea that it could have been some sort of demon I would say some sort of demon. That is what I believe. I'm always open for other people saying, well, there's about 10 other people who had this experience and this is what they think it is. Hey, I'm open to listening to that. I don't want to say I'm not open to, but I'm like, it's not sleep paralysis. It wasn't sleep paralysis. But yeah, so that was what happened. Now, like I said, my Oma had passed away and I was really close with her. And I remember crying, and she came and visited me actually while I was in bed. It was the night of the funeral. The funeral had happened in the morning, and I was in bed crying, and she came to me and she gave me a message, and she said, and like people talk about mind speak, this was mind speak, she was there, but she was speaking, but she wasn't talking, if that makes sense. And all she said was, embrace the living. And such a powerful statement, it's kind of, hold on to the ones you love because they will be on the other side. And once you're on the other side, you can rejoice that they're on the other side. So, there's no sense in mourning someone once they're gone, just embrace and hold on to the living while they're here. Okay. That was the good thing. Now let's fast forward to 19 years old, come home from work. And I was, at this time I was still working the same job that I had to get up early in the morning. And it was really, really late. Cool. Southpaw. Yeah. Yeah. The glowing eyes thing, right? It's so strange. And you know what's kind of strange about the Southpaw with the glowing eyes was that I never put the two and two together. I was like, oh, when people talk about Sasquatch or Bigfoot, or Dogman with glowing eyes, I was like, oh, that's strange. But I had this experience with this. It's like, why aren't these joined? They are. I always thought that was weird that these creatures had glowing eyes, but my ghost or my demon had glowing eyes, and that's normal. Crazy, but so I come home late and from working and got home and went to bed, and all of a sudden I felt like instantly sick. It wasn't like I was laying in bed, and then all of a sudden I'm like, oh my gosh, I feel absolutely horrendous and I'm going to get sick. So I rushed out, went into the bathroom, and this is about, I'm going to say around 1 a.m. that this happened. I got home around 11:30 at night, and this is about 1 a.m. And because of course I get home, you get changed and just take your time. And I start getting sick in the bathroom. And it was at this time that and this one is more of a like mental, spiritual kind of thing that happened, and I I couldn't leave the bathroom, not because not because I was like sick, but I couldn't leave the bathroom. I was absolutely petrified with fear. Um, because I was seeing in my mind and in my thoughts, and also like feeding me these thoughts, and this was this creature that was just outside of the bathroom. Also, our bathroom, kind of like the toilet and the shower, have like a separate little room within the bathroom. So there's a sliding door, and in where the sinks are, we have a double mirror, and also it was like kind of like using the mirrors as well somehow. I I'm not 100% sure exactly how, if it was, bouncing around, and I don't know. But this creature was projecting in my mind. And like I said, it was like a spiritual mental battle thing. And it was like a Nosferatu type of vampire. It was, not as frail looking as the Nosferatu kind of vampire, but a little bit more bulky, bald as well. And yeah, I can still remember this. And I stayed in this bathroom for about an hour and a half, maybe 2 hours, before I actually started calling for my mom. So I still lived at home at that time. I was calling for my mom, praying that she would come, turn on the lights. And sure enough, she came, turned on the lights, and like, what's wrong? And I'm like, of course, I'm like, not going to tell her that I'm afraid to leave the bathroom. And again, this is the same house I was terrified in, where I'd always bring all these animals in with me. And I really believe that the Ouija board amplified this all. And I'm not going to tell her that there's this creature in my mind that is like preying on me. And I really feel that it was a vampire, preying on your fear. And it's like taking your fear in and feeding it and growing it, its strength by that. So yeah, I would not move. So that there was my experiences within this house. Now, my mother had her own experiences. My father did. My oldest sister did as well. My middle sister had nothing. She used to see a lot of stuff. She used to call herself the queen of the lights, actually, when she was really young, but she started to get afraid. And so she was like, no, I don't want this anymore. And after that, she never saw anything. This house was brand new. We built this house ourselves. I'm saying ourselves like I built it, but this was, exactly, Pamela. Like, it caught me at a weak moment. I'm like, and I actually think that it caused me to get sick. Because I had another experience in another house where I got sick like that as well. Now, so this house was brand new and really well kept. It wasn't like it was like, my parents were very tidy and orderly, and and clean as well. Like every week, every weekend, all of us children were cleaning the house and doing all yard work and everything. So this was a very well kept house. But I almost feel that we opened some sort of portal within that house, and things came in. Now, so that was my experiences with that house, and I moved out. I've had a bunch of other experiences continuously at other homes. But I'm going to fast forward to the first time I was married. This woman that I got married to has a very, I don't know, black shadow tied to her, we'll say. Her best friend committed suicide when she was, I think it was like 14, 15 years old. Then her previous husband committed suicide in the house they were in. She actually thought that he was waiting for her with the gun, and it was a long barrel gun. It was a 22, and he was sitting on the toilet, and she thinks that he was seeing to see if he could do it to himself, and he did, and he did himself in on the toilet. That's kind of strange. But and then after me, her next I don't know, common law, he committed suicide as well. And so she's got this black cloud around her. Now, she had she had to get an exorcism done after her late husband had killed himself, and they're pretty sure it was him that was tormenting her from beyond. So there's me, going to be the knight in shining armor when I'm just a fool with tinfoil. But so she was a wreck, and I really should have walked away from that. But she was emotionally and just mentally a wreck, and I'm like, oh, I'll save you. But so we ended up getting married, and we're living in this new house that I helped build myself this time, brand new home, and things start happening in this house. Yeah, a lot of things start happening, and to a point that I was exactly, Amber, exactly. I'll be a fixer. I'll fix everything. And dear God, no. I really learned. Yep, tinfoil night, exactly. I really learned that you need to fix yourself. Then that's all that matters. You need to work on yourself, and once you do that, then the right person will come. Now, so in this house, in the master bedroom, we had a ceiling fan that had like a remote. It was a remote control ceiling fan. It had a light built into it and everything. And that's when things started happening. All of a sudden, the light started. It's Captain Save-A-Ho. Exactly. So this light, and it would only go on at night. It happened a couple of times during the day, but at night it was like 3-4 months. No, I think it was even closer to 6 months. This the fan and the light would start changing on their own. The light would go on and off and dim, and it would just be continuously like it would come on full and then dim down, and then it would come on full and dim down. And the ceiling fan itself would speed up. Like I always sleep with a ceiling fan on, all the time. I always have a fan on. Like right now, I got fan blowing on me right now, of course, because it's like 30 degrees or 26 actually. So it's only so Celsius is 26 degrees Celsius, 30 degrees Celsius. So the ceiling fan's going on and off, and the light's going on and off. And this is happening for like 6 months. In the middle of the night, usually around the times between 1:30 a.m. to 3:30, 4 a.m. every night. Now, let me tell you about losing your mind. This is, yeah. Hey, Karen, this is my own story. These are all my own stories. I'm kind of giving my history 101, the rye. So this is going for 6 months. I swear I'm losing my mind. And it would happen every now and then in the bedroom. And like, it's not like you could hear the fan running. So it's not like when we're outside of the bedroom, we'd hear it running. It's not like it would turn on or off if we weren't in the bedroom. We had to be in the bedroom for this to work. So was it some sort of electrical, magnetic thing, anomaly that we are putting off ourselves? I don't know. Now, my ex-wife's, of course, it's my ex-wife's daughter, she had a daughter from the previous marriage, became quite ill with an unknown disease. Not disease, I don't want to say disease. She became quite ill from something unknown, to the point that she could barely walk. She was completely drained of energy, had nothing. Like, we're talking, she wasn't going to school, and this was going on for like weeks, and it was hitting sorry, I'm just reading what Amber's putting. I would have loved to have done that, but I didn't. Sold that house, got out of there. But so her daughter was sick for weeks, almost a month, and we were taking her to doctors, to specialists, and the answer to some of them, like of course we ended up getting like bumped up to a specialist, and then the specialist decided that this girl is faking, and she's going to yell and scream at her that she's faking. And great medical system. So like week was barely eating or anything. So what kind of experiences do you want to read? Demon, Dogman, Bigfoot, Mermaid, every and all kind, Mouse, every and all kinds. I want to do something like this, maybe once or twice a week, where I read, yes, where I read people's experiences. Yes, Southpaw. That's exactly what I think it was. Some sort of energy vampire. I really believe those energy vampires are out there. Now, she was laying in our bedroom on the bed, and I remember I was in the office at this time, and I was playing a game in the office, and that is when creeping came into the room, creeping along the ceiling in the corner, like where the ceiling meets the wall. Not like it kind of started in the corner, but then it kind of came on. It was just at that corner where where the ceiling met the wall was a black smoke, and it was growing bigger and bigger, and just kind of moving around, and it was very wispy. Again, blacker than black, very similar to what I saw floating above my bed. And it was at that time that I claimed my house, and I was like, "You need to get the hell out of here," And in Jesus' name, in God's name, I command you to get out of my house. This is my house, not yours. You need to get out. After doing that, it was about 3 or 4 days. Her daughter, perfectly fine. So, the worst is on the ceiling. Yeah, exactly, Karen. Exactly. So, yeah, this thing was on the ceiling, and after I did that, it left. It was done. Now, also, after that, we've had other experiences in that house too, where my wife, well, she was my fiance at the time. We were going to go get married soon, and prior to that, she was having her stagette. So she had all her friends down, and they went out partying for the night. I was home alone. While home alone, I became extremely ill, just like boom, just like that. Kind of very similar to when I was 19. And again, feeling this sense of fear coming over me. And my safe space, you can all laugh, but I'm sure some people will see this, is in the shower. Maybe some people have this as well. So in the shower, washing, and I really feel it's kind of like almost like a baptism. You're washing yourself. You're cleansing your energy. You're cleansing your aura. You're cleansing your energy field. And so I in the past, I will say I would take like 2 to 3 showers a day, every day. Now I'm like maybe 1 or 2. But yeah, so I'm in the shower, and I get out of the shower, and the other taps in the bathroom, we had a jacuzzi tub, were on full. So something was there letting me know that it was there. Her friend, who ended up staying the night, her mom is a very, I'd say, gifted medium. And of course, that kind of thing are usually are passed down. And I had the basement all done, ready. I had the bed ready for her and everything. And I got up in the morning, and she's sleeping on the couch upstairs. And I'm like, "Oh, you didn't sleep downstairs?" She's like, no, I just wanted to sleep up here. I'm like, well, okay, no big deal. But she ended up telling my ex later was that there was someone in the basement with her. There was a woman in the basement with her, and she did not feel safe at all. So that was that crazy house. Now, from there, I've had nothing but just constant experiences. I see things all the time, and it's kind of like those people who have like Bigfoot experiences. Once they kind of like open that door, it's open, and you continue to have these. It's almost like you have a connection with them. So I continuously see spirits all the time. Here in this house, all the time. I've shared with Josh N. WLB, though he misgendered me in one reading. I haven't complained though. Sorry, I'm just reading your guys' comments. And Amber, Carl Crusher's channel, bought it from this other guy. I'll have to find his name later. He makes these I can never say this. Dysanian goggles. I know exactly what you're talking about. Hope I spelled that right. Supposed to see ghosts in that spectrum. Yes, you can see. It's not even just ghosts. Supposedly, you can see UFOs as well, Amber, which is crazy, really, really crazy. But yeah, so those are a lot of my experiences. Now here in Mexico, I see things all the time. When we're at my in-laws' place, their house is it's not old like Mexico old. It's like probably like 50 years old. So it's not old at all in comparison. But we right next door to them is a restaurant, like a very fancy restaurant. And the one day we came there, her dad was backing in, and when they stopped, there was someone there with like a very large man, like a bouncer or a doorman kind of thing with a bow tie, opening my door, but he wasn't there. If you know what I mean. So that is really, really crazy kind of thing. So that was one thing I saw. My one dog who passed away about a year and a half ago, I see him numerous times. I could still hear him cry every now and then, because when he was his last couple of months were rough, and but I could hear him whimper every now and then, which was really hard. Also here in Mexico, I saw a Catrina. And what is a Catrina? Catrina is a Day of the Dead. Mexico Day of the Dead, we'll explain that the easiest way, is when they paint themselves up like a skeleton, okay? And so you have, you have the sugar skulls kind of thing. Well, a Catrina is like the embodiment, like it could be like a doll, it could be like a porcelain thing. Well, that's the best way I can call it, was this black hat woman, about 7 feet tall. We were leaving our house, and at our neighbor's house, in their garage, in their carport, was this hat woman Catrina standing in. And we're talking like those Mexican style hats that are kind of like this and really wide brim like this. And wearing a dress, a black dress. And I didn't get a bad feeling from that at all, but that was really, really cool. We need to network you with this guy that even teaches you how to make some of his other equipment for meditation. Cool, Amber. Yeah. Hook me up. Let's see, Mouse. I've not seen anything that could definitely peg a UFO, but could still happen as well. Only if they're nice and want to interact, though. Yeah, exactly. Would you call yourself intuitive since you were a child, making you extra open to experiences? Yes, 100%. I have a lot of crazy other experiences as well. Know things before they happen. My dreams, actually, I would say my dreams are very intuitive. I have very predictive dreams. One I'll do really quickly was, my wife had met this gentleman on the subway, this blind gentleman. She was helping him, in and out, and they took the subway train all the time together. And so they just became friends, talking all the time. And he was a missionary who would go down to Peru, handing out audio Bibles and Braille computers for people. So he invited her and myself as well to the church that he works out of, to come there. And so as he gives a presentation. So we went there, and it's a nice church, and sit down at a table, and some random people sit down, and this woman asked me, she's like, "Oh, is this your church? Like, do you attend this church?" I'm like, no, I don't go to church here. And she's like, "Oh, so which church do you go to?" And I could tell that she was a church lady, but I was like, well, at this time, I don't go to any church. And just to backtrack, I was born and raised Catholic. I was like hardcore Catholic. I was involved with the church a lot. Kind of walked away from that. I would say now I'm more Christian. I don't really kind of associate with. I know Catholic is a branch of Christian, but there's some things I don't really go with, like the Pope. Not my thing. But I know JC will answer back on that one. But so we're sitting there and we're having this discussion. So this discussion starts, and it starts to get heated. Well, on her end, heated, because she's very upset that I don't attend church. And I was telling her, no, my church is outside. Like, I commune with God so much better, when I'm in nature, with what God created and what God built. And she's getting very upset. And I'm like, you crack a stone or break a I forget this one. I always mess this up. Cut open a log, there I am. Break a stone, there I am. And that's what God is. God is within everything that he has created, which is us as well. So make a long story short, this woman was getting heated. I was just calm and cool and collected. My wife was actually surprised. She's like, "Yeah, you handled that well." So I was like, "Yeah." I'm like, that, I don't know. Just was normal. Nothing too major. I don't know why. It's just like cool and collected. So fast forward to 3-4 weeks later, I keep a dream journal. I haven't been keeping up with it in the past year, though I do write down all my dreams. I just haven't, transferred them over into my dream journal. And when I keep a dream journal, I mean, like I keep dates and I write like a title for everyone. And well, not a title, just kind of like, okay, this dream is about like time travel. This dream is about this. This dream is about that. I think that's a plane flying over. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. You can see it was just flying up over that way. But so back to this. So I'm going through my dream journal because someone had mentioned that in your dreams, if you're abducted by aliens, you'll have dreams. Like if you have an alien abduction dream, very detailed, usually it means that you were actually abducted. And I was like, well, I've had a bunch of these. Let me look through my dream journal. So I start flipping through, and I stumble upon this one dream. And this one dream talks about me sitting down at a table with a woman, and we have a very heated argument, but I was not, about, her asking me, is this my church? And her getting upset that I'm not going to church, and, me telling her, no, my, right, Pamela? So me telling her that, no, outside is my church, being in nature is my church. Okay. So predictive dream. Yes. But there's something even more strange. So so that dream was exactly what happened. But I asked my wife, I said, when did we go to this event at church? And she's like, well, that was on a Sunday. I'm like, yeah. And like, when? She's like, oh, it's February. I'm like, yeah, I know that. What was the specific date? So she gave me the specific date. I think it was like February 23rd, in around there, 22nd, in around there. She gave me the specific date. I show her my dream, the exact same date, 4 years prior. So 4 years to the day, I had a dream about me having this conversation with this woman. So yeah, it could have been a coincidence that I had the same dream of having this conversation, but to the exact day, 4 years prior, which is very interesting in my opinion, that, had this dream and deja reveille. Yes. Thank you, Amber. Deja reveille is when you have a waking moment and you're like, whoa, this happened in a dream. So, but this was beyond that. Now, when people talk about dreams, they always say, oh, it's just your brain going through processing what happened during the day. And I think that's an understatement of the year. Like, don't get me wrong, that does happen. But here's a question for you all. So if that happens, if it's you processing what has happened throughout the day, why don't you have cell phones in your dream? And maybe some of people have cell phones in their dream, but I've never dreamt of me and my cell phone ever. And if our brain is reenacting things that we've done during the day, why wouldn't we have our cell phone in our dream? And again, maybe I'm just, generalizing, making a generalization, but for you guys in the stream here, have you ever dreamed of your cell phone? Let's see what Mo says. Lately, I keep dreaming about people telling me about their supernatural experiences or give me photos, videos, and in the dreams, I'm having visions telling me they are legit. Don't know why anymore. Okay, so Mouse, are you getting these photos or videos? Are they showing you in your cell phone? And it's strange, actually, that you talked about cryptids, because I just dreamt of a dogman. I've never, ever dreamt of a dogman. This was my first dream of a dogman. Huge creature, like kind of built like you remember the original Ghostbusters where they had the gatekeeper and the key master, those big, huge kind of things like that. It was very similar to that. Hairy, but these things were hairy. This thing was hairy and massive, but it wasn't like, it was more like missing hair in places kind of thing. It wasn't like a very consistent pelt. Yeah. So if anybody has dreamt of a cell phone, let me know. So let me get back to these dreams now. So this is what I believe that dreams are. We have different types of dreams, or at least I do. Actually, I'm going to say this. I have different types of dreams. I have dreams where I time travel. I time travel forward in time. I have dreams where I time travel back in time. And I'm conscious of this. I'm not saying I'm lucid dreaming. I'm not able to really control. I can make decisions and do things, but it's not like, oh, I'm going to fly. Sometimes I'm able to kind of fly, but I have. Okay. So Pamela has had a cell phone, so that's interesting. But you haven't been able to make it work, which is also, of course, we always have issues making things work in dreams. But yeah, so I'm able to time travel. And I remember the one time I went back into time, and I was going to tell myself to stay away from my ex. But I realized, though, if I did that, if I changed anything in my life, I wouldn't be where I am now, which wouldn't be with my current wife at all. So I had, you have to go through these hardships. You know, you gotta go through the hardships to move on in life, and you can't change them because that'll change the outcome of everything. With time travel, it's just crazy. But I do believe mentally we can time travel. We can literally go back. You can go back to any memory you've ever had. Okay. And you could do this. You can go back to any memory you've ever had, and you could change the outcome. You can change the outcome and just say, nope, that's not how it happened. Of course, physically, anything that might have physically, let's say you cut off your finger and you're like, well, I can't physically make that finger grow back, but you can change your mental and emotional connection with that. And you can overcome just about anything that is mentally crippling or emotionally crippling. And it's up to you. You have the control. So that's some of my dreams. Now, some of my other dreams, I literally, if you've ever seen Quantum Leap, I quantum leap into other people's consciousness. Like my consciousness will transfer over into other people's bodies. One of the ones that I remember this completely, I was in a 12-year-old boy's, like a black boy. I was in his body. And I remember looking at myself, and I even telling my family, a different family at that time, who I was. I said, no, I'm actually like a 40-year-old guy, so straight 40-year-old white guy in this, and so strange, and I ended up actually getting the same tattoo because this is a powerful tattoo of mine. And I was like, no, I need to get this tattoo. And so I convinced what do they call that when someone's older than you who's able to sign for you, kind of like a power, your guardian. I was able to convince a guardian of sorts to allow me to get a tattoo. So very interesting. I've also transferred into other dimensions as well. And that is what I believe is this quantum leaping, when I'm able to transfer my consciousness into other dimensions. Let's see here. So I was security camera or something, but it was, of course, creepy to watch. Southpaw. Occasionally I've had very vivid dreams that turn out to be like premonitions. I believe we all have this power. It's not like, oh, I'm the only one who has this. No, we all do. It's a muscle. We all have this muscle. Being intuitive is a muscle, whether you practice it and you use it and you grow it, you'll never know. You'll never know, but the more you use it, the stronger it gets. And that's with everything. It's your muscles, your brain. The more you use it, the more you read, the smarter you get. The same thing with any type of intuition, any type of gifts. We all have these gifts. That's not like someone's gifted. We are all gifted. We just have to actually access them and work on them. So yeah, I had another dream where I went to another dimension where the Chinese had taken over the whole world. The whole world was taken over by communist China. And I needed to escape back to my reality, to my dimension. And I was able to find a scientist, and I explained my predicament, and he actually drew out for me, and I was able to draw that myself, diagrams on how to get back into this reality. I actually had to use the Van Allen radiation belt, and something had to actually, a large mass item had to be pushed into the Van Allen radiation belt for me to actually traverse into a different dimension. It was a portal. And that actual thing was the moon. So with the moon cutting into the Van Allen radiation belt, I was able to use it as a portal to come back into my own reality. It kind of sounds out there, kind of sounds kind of crazy, but it was very interesting. So this was the diagrams. I'm actually going to show you guys the diagrams that I drew out. Okay, so... And I'll explain it a little bit more. Why not? Let's do this. Where are we? We're going to share my entire screen. This is easier. Okay. Yeah, I believe, Karen, all our pineal glands are open, but it's just some of them have calcified due to all the fluoride, the fluoride in the water, right? What did Mouse say? That's weird. I had dreams of jumping into people's heads too. Once I was in the head of a guy that murdered his family. Couldn't stop him, and watch and hear, feel his thoughts. He didn't. That's crazy, Mouse. That is crazy. Yeah, that's exactly. So this one, when I was talking about being in that boy's body, it actually was to stop my sister from being involved in a robbery at a gas station, and I was able to prevent that. So by doing that, it was kind of like, you change one thing. So if that happens again, see if you can try actually taking control and try to change it. I didn't actually look to see if it really happened, though. The house is real. Yeah. That is crazy, crazy, Mouse. Okay, I'm going to show you guys this diagram. Yeah, as my screen goes crazy. Okay. So this diagram, it's very rudimentary. I never claimed to be an artist. So it was the energy had to go through an aperture. So it had to come down into an aperture and it would go around. So this here, in my opinion, was the Earth, and it was creating or maybe the Earth was in here. I can't remember now. This was many, many years ago. Let's see if it has the year on it. No. So, and it would create, the energy would flow through an aperture and then it would come out in around. You can see how it goes like that. Now, they had to put a large mass item into the flow of the energy in this location. And this here would create the portal for you to enter a doorway and back into my own world. And then like, this is what he drew this out on a chalkboard. And this here was this large mass item. So it would cause this energy to flow differently. And this was the disturbance that I needed for me to access into my dimension, to come back in. So yeah, and by hang on, let me just open this up here. Where was it? So this here is, of course, the Van Allen radiation belt, right? So you can see how the energy, it kind of flows through an aperture here. It's coming. This is your aperture, and it would, like, the diagram looks very similar to this. And the moon is what would push into this side of this energy flow. And this is where I could come back and through into my own world. Is it a stretch? Hey, it might be. This is just what I felt was real. This is, again, here's another picture of it all. This is how I felt like this is how this diagram worked, how the energy went around, how it kind of flowed differently through when it hit the Earth and everything. Yeah, that's my crazy, crazy stories. So I know it's getting kind of late. I should be wrapping this up soon, but let me see what you guys have to say. I'm going to read some of your comments here. So Mouse, so I'm going to ask you, so this house that you said you were in, where you had this dream. So was this in, tell me about this. Was this actually like this dream where you were in this person's head? This was this house. You actually say this house actually exists. So you were in this world, maybe, perhaps, or maybe just an alternate timeline that was super close to this one. Not much difference. I'm just interested. So let's see what you have to say. Does anybody else have any other crazy dreams? Does anybody else have any other, theories? Because like I believe there's multiple different types of dreams, and I do think we do revisit things that happened during the day, and our brain just plays it out. But I believe there's so much more. We spend maybe 20% to, unless you're Josh, unless you're Wolf, and he only spends maybe like 10%. But, we'll say anywhere between 10 to 25. Well, I don't want to say 25. We'll say 10 to 20% of your life sleeping, So that's an altered state of reality. You're spending this much time sleeping. What does that mean? What is that? What is that? That's just crazy. So there has to be more to dreams than just replaying stuff that has happened. All right, let's see. I visited the store many times before the nightmare, so it just may have been a weird nightmare. Never seen the upstairs where the nightmare happened. Interesting. Amber's saying, I left my body twice and had no idea how I did it, like astral travel. That's very cool, Amber. Yes, I don't know if you saw that in the beginning. I had an OBE, an out-of-body experience. What's in the past 6 months? Over the top of the tip of Miami and seen this white donut thing, which is closed down in Animal Park, and I've never seen that ever before. What do you mean by seen this white donut thing? Is that like what are they called? A helix? Is that a helix where it's the energy? I can't remember if it's a helix. Does anybody remember where it's like I think it starts with an H. Of course, I can't remember. It's like this energy. It looks like a donut, but it's an energy. It's how the energy kind of flows. It's how it flows around us as well. When you dream, you're building a landscape to go for the long sleep. That is interesting, Amber. So you believe we're creating worlds for us for when we pass on. I'm a well-documented non-sleeper due to my many issues. Yeah. Of course, Andrew there from Sasquatchers, he has a lot of sleep issues. Oh, okay. I see what you're saying, Amber. So you were floating above a place? Is that what you're saying? What's in the past 6 months? I was over top of the tip of Miami. Seen this white donut thing. Was a closed down Animal Park. I've never seen that ever before. Now, if you can lucid dream. Yes. Very interesting. Yeah, I don't want to say like I think I'm semi-lucid dreaming. There are times where I can kind of fly, like I know that I'm kind of flying, but I drag my feet and I kind of like go along like this at an angle, and I'm like, I know I can fly and I can make myself fly, but I can't fully get flying yet. Interesting, Amber. So yes, and as soon as I realized it, then I left the sky and it was down in the park. Cool. That is, you should write that up. Write that story up and send it in to me. You know, I love reading actually other people's dreams and everything else. So, you know, I'm going to check out of here soon. I just want everybody to know, thank you for dropping in. Thank you for your stories. Please, if you haven't sent me a friend request on Facebook, please do. Rye Voss, just say, hey, I'm your friend. I watch your show. And because I'm going to ask you, if you don't say that, I'm going to say, you know, I ask everybody because I actually went through and like called my friends list. And I know everybody says, oh, if you're still here, you know, you're one of the lucky ones. No, I didn't say that. I just went through and actually deleted 600 people, which is okay. If you want my email, let's throw that up. Let's throw that up right now. Here we go. Here's my email. codexofcuriosities@gmail.com. You can email me there, or Rye Voss at Facebook. Also, I'm going to link some things in the show notes. So if you guys want to come back, like I said, I have a Patreon. I have, what else? I have my Printify store. And I'm going to share that right now because I love my little commercial I made up. So these are all the items. If you like something, or if you're like, hey, if you could make that logo with this type of clothing, tell me. I will do that. So this is my my Printify advertisement. Yeah, so that's my that's my store. I don't want to put anything behind a paywall. You know, when I was previously with the Lost Frequency before we closed that down, you know, we had some things behind a paywall, but I know other podcasters have paywalls, and I'm not a fan of it because, you know, you want to hear everything, you want to see everything. So I'm just keeping everything free. And by that means, then, like, the way I'm going to support myself is by selling merchandise or through my Patreon. I have a $5 and a $25 tier. $5 tier is just like, thanks for helping me out. I give you shouts out. Oh my gosh. And I'm an English tutor. I give you a shout out. And then the $25 tier, there's some stuff I give out, which is like a mug, a long sleeve shirt, short sleeve shirt, and a canvas tote. Now, Karen, I see you said you fly like Superman. Every now and then I've been able to fly like Superman, but then all of a sudden I just kind of lose it and I kind of like hover and I kind of like fall down to the ground. It's kind of crazy. So before I head out, one last thing I just want to say, make sure you keep your curiosity wandering and ensure the light stays lit.